Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another pick a card reading. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for stopping by again and welcome. If you're new, today we're going to be doing just a general forecast of the next 6 months. What's coming up for you, and hopefully we'll get information on things like love, career, spirituality, that sort of thing. But you never know what's going to come up in these cards, and that's kind of the fun of it. I'll say what I see, and remember these are general readings, so take what works for you and leave what doesn't. Just use your intuition or your gut feeling or whatever you have going on to pick one of the readings for you today. And to kind of give you a visual aid for each reading, I have 3 different ones that I'm going to do. I have 3 different D8 dice here that are corresponded to those readings. So if you're interested in reading number 1, that's my little bone colored dice here, this white dice. I'll get them close to the camera because I feel like so that's that one. This one is actually rainbow. It's not really showing up that well on my monitor, but yeah, this is for the second reading, group number 2's rainbow dice. I'm not sure. But anyway, it is really pretty. It's kind of like a mother of pearl look about it. And then for the third group's reading, I have this black and red dice here. So, just take a moment, pause the video if you need to see which one resonates for you, and I'll see you in the reading. Okay, what's up, group number 1? So let's see what's coming up in the next 6 months. We'll see where you'll be at probably 6 months from now. But we're also going to look at any information for that interim time between now and then that we can get. I've got 3 sets of cards to read from today. I'm going to start with my playing cards. And that's, generally how I like to start readings. And we'll see what's going on. What are the next 6 months like? For my group number 1 with this bone dice. I say bone, I mean it's like white, but if you've ever seen like dice that look like bone, it's like this like off color kind of milky thing. Okay, let's just see what is happening. 6 of diamonds, just flying out of the deck there. So, I mean, if it flies out of the deck, I mean, in most situations, I'll just take that as a go. And that's kind of our first card, so it's nice to see something just jump out at us like that. And here we have, I see the internet for sure in that 6 of diamonds, because it's kind of like where communication meets the physical world, and that for a lot of us is the internet. Or our social media accounts, and these could be things like Tinder too. Like we don't really but there's also things like physical touch, which is a physical form of communication, that sort of thing. So I really do like to leave it open and just see exactly how this card resonates to me. So let me pull out a few more. Okay, so a lot of what I see is, and starting with this card with the 6 of diamonds just kind of flying out of the deck there. This is our phone, these are our computers, and these sorts of things, and also the internet in general. I feel like a lot of you are trying to move more digital when it comes to work and career and these sorts of things, and that's because it's a very smart move right now. The world is a little unstable, and people are a lot of people are being forced to work from home. There's not really an option, and a lot of companies are just heading that direction. But a lot of us don't really have that option in terms of like the way that we've been doing work in the past. So for a lot of us, we're trying to create that space for ourselves, whether it's an online shop selling something, or you're providing a digital service of some sort, and consultations. You could technically be card readers or spiritual workers, these sorts of things yourselves. Actually, the 7 of clubs is my spirit work card, so it is things like meditation and prayer, but it's also things like spell work and things of that nature, of a more spiritual nature, that involve your environment and your worldview, and in learning things that are of an unseen nature. So I feel like for a lot of you, that's really what the focus is here, is that digital profile. And it's really new for most of you. Some of you may have been at it for a while, but are looking for a big break. So either way, a lot of you have been working towards it. So either way, you're going to, over this next 6 months, pretty much be focused on getting that sort of thing off the ground. And this is the manifestation card, so I call it the church, but it's really also like where spirituality and physical come together. So it's like your desires being made in actual reality, or actual reality, but it manifests in kind of like the physical world and coming out of just the spiritual, more thoughtful world, and also like seeing your goals come to fruition, this sort of thing. So here I see like the internet profile coming to fruition. A lot of you, it's going to be something that has to do directly with you. So if it's not an online shop, it's like a skill that you have, or maybe you're an entertainer, maybe you're interested in like going in a more public direction. This card is the Watcher, so it's people keeping an eye on you, or you being watched by other people, or maybe you're up and coming and people are keeping their eye on whatever it is, your Etsy shop, your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, whatever you're up to. They're just keeping an eye on you and the product that you're offering. Maybe they've been waiting for a launch and you've been building it up. These sorts of things are going to be building over the next 6 months. So it looks like this is all about an audience and growing an audience and using spirit work to do that. So the thing is, like, meditate on your success, focus on it. Like, try to see the way in which your desires are already starting to show up in your life and the ways in which you're already having successes, and don't discount those. And then also, if you get more practical about it and you do more spiritual things, it's like, anything you can do to, enhance the probability of your success, go at it and do it. That's what the Spirit card says all day long. And so for a lot of you, if this is a spiritual field that you're going into, this is really just going to be more work applying what you already do and know in order to make yourself successful. Excuse me, let me get some water. To like make yourself successful. And it's also just in general going to help a lot, because it's going to boost your confidence having your own skills and your own efforts work for you and be successful for you. And once again, getting anything like this off the ground is difficult. It takes courage, and that's this Queen of Hearts here. Is I call her the bartender, but really what it is anything you need to help yourself cope. So, just like taking a shot in the bar, it's like when you want to ask somebody out, or you want to be more social, these sorts of things don't change who we are, but they make an environment where we're able to better take a leap or do something that we wouldn't normally do, reduce our inhibitions, basically. And right now, there might be a lot of that, because times are really crazy and the world is changing right in front of us, and no one really was quite prepared for how extreme this is going to be. But the Queen of Hearts is really us having to find out how exactly we're coping with the new situation and how to keep moving forward in our lives, because like strong coping abilities are going to make or break a lot of us in the future, and in these next 6 months. Getting from where we are now to where we want to be by then is going to involve how easily we're able to weather storms and things that start. And there's nothing wrong with coping. It's not like you're avoiding something or putting a permanent band-aid on something, but the whole thing about a band-aid is eventually it heals and you don't need it anymore. So this is just saying, like, I hate the term life hack, but anything that you can do that makes you more confident and more ready to pursue whatever it is you're going after, you need to take it right now. Or it would be best to look for options like that, things that just make you do it. Or if you are stuck procrastinating and you haven't really moved forward. It could be because there's a lot of things flowing around in your mind, and that's kind of the King of Hearts domain, because he corresponds with the Queen of Hearts in the way that if she's the bartender, then he's the drunk. And the thing about the drunk is, I call this card the drunk because you don't when you're drunk, you don't use your intellect as much. You think more with the heart and all with like feeling, and things are much more strong. And this is saying, to let your creativity flow, and stop the hang up with all the logistical thoughts and these sorts of things in your mind. If you let the creativity flow and just get doing things that you need to do in order to make this online business or presence or whatever it is come to be, now is the time to start doing it. And over this next 6 months, I think it's going to become easier and easier for you. I think these cards are also here to indicate that this is something that you definitely will be able to do in terms of getting started. And as you see your own audience or customer base or whatever it is grow, these things will continually become easier. So eventually the system, reinforces itself. And once again, with the spirit work, don't be afraid to like pray and meditate on it, and really see it into being. Okay, so once again, this Queen of Clubs here is going hand in hand with the things I was talking about with the top row, in a way that's like, make sure you have your ducks in a row so that you can have the best chance at success here. And this is being covered. So these are things kind of like falling into place naturally. The more you work towards something, and the more what you want to see happen starts to happen, the more things just tend to fall in line, and it helps your outlook be more positive naturally. So I call her the sharpshooter, because it's just basically someone who knows how to cover someone while they're working, or someone who like knows how to hit all the right marks and things on a target. So this is just like a little bit of things working out in your favor. And this is okay, so these cards go together here as well, I think, because this I call the diva, but it's also a starlet. It's also someone who realizes that it's their life and they need to do what they need to do with it. And then this is an inspirational environment. So this could be, a lot of times this is a social environment, but for a lot of us, when it comes to like an online profile and that sort of thing, this really is that whatever community it is that we're joining or being a part of, it's us getting inspiration from those outside sources. So it's looking around to see people who do things that are similar to what we're doing, and gaining our inspiration from there, but also not losing what makes ours special because of what we bring to the table as an individual. And then here it's like, once that's figured out and exactly how it is to do it, this is really enjoying the work. This is other people seeing it and admiring it too. So it's also on their end. So this is when people watch you, they feel inspired, and when you watch them, you feel inspired, and that sort of thing. And as things start to pick up, we've got a good bit of success here. This is kind of like emotional fulfillment, and it makes you feel, maybe even for the first time in a while, I feel like for a lot of you, that things are looking up. But the infatuation phase always ends, and I have this 9 of spades here, which is complacency, and then this 2 of spades here, which is kind of like not really liking it anymore. There's going to be a lot of going up and down, kind of like on a roller coaster. It's like, okay, I really enjoy this right now, and then some days will be like, maybe not so much, or I feel like creating my product or content, but now I don't, or and it could be like mood swings and these sorts of things. And once again, it's kind of like all about regulation. Things will be lining up to make this easier for you. And once again, the constant work at coping and reminding yourself that you are capable of this, like you're in control of your life, or it's like the success when it happens, that yes, you do in fact deserve it. These sorts of things come up, and they make us question what we're doing, but that just means that we're keeping ourselves in check and moving forward. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the thing is, we don't need to actually let it hinder us and hold us back. So, even if you do break with whatever schedule you had set for yourself in these coming days and months, it's all about finding yourself back on home base and getting back on track. And once again, meditation, prayer, these sorts of things really help. Or just anything, like making like a little logo that reminds you of what you're creating or doing, and like putting it on your wall or keeping it in your wallet and just taking a look at it or something when you need to. All of these things feed into each other, and once again, keeping a positive and inspiring space. Like, look at things that inspire you, get re-inspired or get reinvigorated whenever you need it. So we've got some threes. Okay, so this is where the heart is, and so it's like the old saying, it's like home is where the heart is. It looks like over the next 6 months, you're going to be feeling really comfortable in a new environment, and it'll be like a new home. And I think that it must be related to this kind of like online enterprise of some sort that a lot of you group ones seem to be interested in. And I have these threes here, and that's, expansion. And this is time, energy, and effort being put into something. This is also more responsibility. So I think that this could take directions that you didn't see coming, or maybe you decide that you actually want to go further and deeper into something like this than you originally planned. A lot of you could have just been for fun, but it turns out to be really working, and who knows, this could be people naturally suggesting you things that make sense to you, and you decide to incorporate into your platform or into your product. And a lot of it could be like close friends that just that you have in general, but this could also be people coming in from the outside, like sponsors or anyone willing to work with you in terms of like advertising and these sorts of things. But whatever happens, it takes a turn for the better, and it's something that really resonates and soars for you. So it looks like in the next 6 months, in this progression of events, there's a lot of success. There are some like normal, just like work-life balance and mitigating fear and worries about incompetency and these sorts of things that I think we all have. And for a lot of you, you're going to get past it really easily and it just wells up. But for others of you, this will be stronger and longer lasting, but persevering nonetheless, because you feel like you're home now, and for the time being, that you know exactly what you're going to do. And once again, more responsibility, more work, more effort, more time and more energy is being put into this home that you feel like you're building, and it's going to give you quite probably a sense of peace in the long run, no matter how hard it is to get yourself actually going and off of the ground. At some point, it could be slow growth, and then it turns fast, and more fast than expected, and that could be part of like one of the scary shakeups. But once again, readjustment and reevaluating things, spirit work, keeping yourself calm, remembering what inspires you, focusing on your passions, these sorts of things can make it really easy to come back and meet, re-meet yourself and what you're doing here. Okay, so this is kind of like taking the risk. You're going to get out what you put in. You have to eventually take the risk. And this is this is the King of Spades, which is like Jack of Spades grown up. So this is like, I call this like cowboy, but really what this card means is an independent spirit, someone who has experience and is able to take on new responsibilities and new goals and use their past experiences to build off of that, and don't need to be told what to do because they're making their own path. And then this is the change of heart, and I feel like this is, or it's sort of like a shift in emotion, where it's kind of like this is also your passion, but it could be becoming dispassionate. So over this like short period of time, relatively 6 months, it looks like you could kind of have like an entire emotional growth experience that helps you learn that no matter what, you're not defined by any of this stuff or your success or anything. You just find genuine peace in the way your life is going, and you're doing it of your own accord, and it makes you feel really solid and just like your own person. And that's a really good place to be. And then, yeah, so also this is like the object of your desire. So it looks like this is something that you have been wanting for a long time. Maybe you've even been planning this out for a while, but right now it looks like the planning phase should be coming to an end, and the implementation phase should be getting started now. And over the next 6 months, it's going to be a mix of implementing things and then seeing where things go. And then, even if it's slow to pick up, not focusing on that, because 6 months from now, things will have picked up. And, it can't happen unless you get started. And I feel like some of you have gotten started, but the others, I feel like, in this situation, are still in that kind of like trepidation phase, or waiting, and like now's the time. Within this short-term future, it's time to get past the jump and move and see what happens. For a little bit more clarity, I'm going to throw tarot cards onto the mix, and then we'll see. Not too many. We don't want to get confusing, but oh wow, Judgment. Okay. So this Judgment card, it's a major arcana card, and it looks really extreme, but really what it is, in my view, is so this could be like fear of other people seeing your stuff and judging it, but of course when you're going public, that kind of thing has to happen. So just with that aside, it's also all of the work you've done being laid to bear, and people get to assess it. And good work brings good fruit and a positive judgment, and then that's something you can be proud of. But also remember, getting started, it's not easy to be successful all of the time. Pretty much none of us do that, and nothing is ever 100% perfect. So this is also getting critique and being able to accept it and take it and evolve, and not being too proud to accept critique when it happens. And this right here is like, the offering like coins and pearls of wisdom, this sort of thing, and keeping like balanced judgment. Also know when the criticism just isn't valid. Maybe somebody else does have a misunderstanding. It's really just keeping that balance in mind. And this is that emotional balance and that kind of light. You see the path, you feel the inspiration here, and you're looking to move forward in this regard. So really all you need is inside yourself, and you do know that. And I think there is worry about being judged and letting other people see your baby or criticize your work, but the point is we're all growing here, and we're all trying to help everybody else out. And it is, par for the course to have other people's input on things. And while, it's not always welcome, you don't have to accept all of it, just try to keep your heart in a place to where you know what's good, and what's bad, and what's helpful. And you're going to learn, and you're going to grow, and people are really going to accept you and respect that, if you're able to pull this off, which I really think y'all are. And let me do one more set of cards. So I have these like these sort of like kind of like color coded cards. It's just they have numbers and words and stuff on them, but really it's just kind of like sometimes it'll give us advice on what to do, or just kind of like the general color palette of the situation, can just let us know more about the vibe of something. Okay, gut feelings. And it's a nice, creamsicle orange, like a push pop. Acceptance. Okay, so I feel more of that fear of judgment vibes. Universal love. Okay, so just to go on what I was saying earlier, acceptance. So one, this is accepting yourself and allowing yourself to fail. And some of the reason why I believe y'all haven't actually jumped into this yet is kind of a fear of not being accepted, or being rejected rather, or having someone just not enjoy what you're doing, or any number of things. That fear is something that we have to get past, because you have to accept yourself and accept your product. And the thing is, accept the fact that not everything can be for everyone, and that's just how it is. Gut feelings is saying, like, like, trust your intuition. For instance, part of the exercise of pick-a-card readings is picking the one that's right for you. So if this resonates for you, that's a good sign already that you're like honing your intuitive skills and being able to like choose what's right. And really focus on your gut. Like, what is your gut saying? If your gut is saying now is a good time to start, now is the time, get going, then by all means get started. And universal love is like wrapped up in all of this, in the fact that like that is acceptance. So in the spirit work, like I was talking about, prayer, meditation, magic, all of these things really help us connect with the source, with God, with our creator, with with the one that brought us into being, and with that general consciousness in which everything is suspended in and exists in. And feeling that can really bring you back to the core and back to whole, into a place of acceptance, accepting yourself and accepting others. Just practicing forgiveness and these sorts of things always help us be successful and evaluate our lives and our product and our projects and everything that we're doing. And it really can only help. So I feel like, across the next 6 months, you're going to be on a bit of a roller coaster, but career-wise, you're trying to shake things up and you're trying to change things. And I think at the center of all of this is the internet, in terms of physical things, and then in terms of spiritual things, it's about getting going and getting past the internal cringe and fear, rejection, these sorts of things, so that you can just get going. But once you are going, it looks like you'll keep yourself going, and then it's just taking steps over and over to get better at your craft. So that's the reading for today, group number 1. Thank you so much for coming by. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment if you have anything to say, and subscribe and hit that bell if you want to see future videos, or just check back on my channel. And thank you so much. Peace, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right, group number 2. This is your reading. Welcome. So we're just looking at an overview, like a forecast of the next 6 months. We'll see what kind of reading we get. Maybe some life, maybe some love, maybe some spirituality. Who knows? It really is up to the cards and what's wanting to be said and what I see. And so buckle in. Let's see what's up. Anyway, I hope everyone's been having a great day. And whatever time you see this, maybe you're closing the day out, but I hope that it was good nonetheless. So let's hop into the reading. Okay, so we're starting things off with the Jack of Clubs here, and following it up with this 8 of Spades. So the vibe I get right now is that there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear. Many of you are kind of have your thoughts focused on what's going on right now. You feel like good times have ended and may not come back. And I can really sympathize with that. It's easy to fall into a dark place, especially in uncertain times, fear and uncertainty go hand in hand. This Jack of Clubs I call the fair weather friend, but it's just a little name. But it's really just about someone who's looking to find positivity, and they bounce when it's gone, that sort of thing. Right now, I think the fear is that there's not a lot of positivity to find, and that you might even be struggling to find it, but your brain is in a fog and you just can't see it, or that being, you know, somewhat dismayed makes it hard to see things in a positive light. And I think that for a lot of y'all, it's in your nature to be positive and to feel better, and to be a source of light and happiness for people. And I think that the Queen of Hearts is that kind of role that y'all play. I think a lot of you do liven and brighten up the day for people. You can change that. You can change them from feeling happy to sad, like this 9 is a change of heart, or just generally add positivity to a situation, and people really love that. And I think right now you're completely entitled to. Well, I don't feel like you've given up. I feel like you have a bit of a somber tone, and it just kind of suits the nature of the world and things around you right now, and that's completely natural. Over the next 6 months, there's probably going to still be a bit of a back and forth about this within you, where it's kind of like you're not giving up by any means, but it's really about like keeping the world from dragging you down. For a lot of y'all pile too, I feel like you're a positive person that people, when they see you, they can feel it on you, and a lot of people love you, and of course you love them back, and these sorts of things. But we're all human, and this is just something that happens, and it's a struggle that is not fun, and that's the thing is emotional growth. And I think that this is a growing period with a lot of growing pains for most of you, and that when times get tough, we do have to toughen up, or we have to change, or starting to like look at the world in different ways, because things aren't hopeless. And though I see at the moment, I think especially at the beginning of this 6 months period, there's a lot of brain fog and not knowing exactly what to do. That is going to start clearing up, and you'll start to have a change of heart, and you'll find ways to deal with and mitigate the world at large. But right now it's just like getting used to things, and that's okay. Learning how to love again, like learn how to enjoy what you're looking at, and it's about not letting this beat you down, because we do create our experience, and the better we can feel, the more we can expand emotionally and offer positivity, the better things are going to get for us again and everyone around us. And it's remaining that beacon that brightens the world, and it only has positive effects on your outer experience. But of course the work is inner, so I feel like the next 6 months, for a lot of you, there are many things going on. We all have to work, we all have to meet people, but in terms of your inner world and spirituality and spiritual practices and these sorts of things, I feel like y'all are growing them and making them stronger. And that's good, because when these things come around and get harder, and our focus has to move towards how do we mitigate that, how do we keep ourselves afloat in choppy waters. And that is y'all's entire vibe. I feel like staying afloat in choppy waters is something that you know how to do, and you've been doing it for a while, and right now it might seem a little bit more difficult, and you might have already been tired and weary. Like I see this 5 of Spades here, which is a bit of burnout. It's you're a touch burnout. Maybe this could be with your job or with your current living situation, and it could be with a relationship or anything like that. But the thing is, if you're experiencing burnout, that's one of the first things that needs to be addressed. So maybe it's moving, maybe it's cutting ties with just in general, it's cutting ties with the things that don't serve you, and it could be a job that you don't like or anything like that. And part of this like kind of dreary feeling might be a feeling of stuckness and not knowing how to get out due to the burnout. But ultimately, it's about clearing the brush and trying to see a path forward, because the environment you need needs to like be cooperative. It needs to feel like good with you internally. And right now, your heart is not in it. I think with this King of Hearts, like this is someone who, kind of like looks at things from when you look at things from an intellectual perspective, you kind of can't be bothered. But when you look within your heart and how you feel, you can tell that this is not working out and that you want something more fulfilling. And then this is something more fulfilling. The Ten of Hearts is, kind of like an emotion, a card of emotional harmony or success or family, anywhere that you feel is better and more healthy for you. And the Queen of Clubs is one of those cards that says, on the way, though there may be trouble, that things might get bumpy, you will get there. You're protected and you're covered enough. And this is just covering your bases, looking at your options and seeing what there is. And then we have stability. I think that a lot of us, or all of us, want something stable. We want a strong life, a good family, or a core friends, a lot of money in the savings account, these sorts of things. You can have those things, and it's best, if you have them already, then that means you are more set up to make a change to help you expand and grow than you are at first admitting or thinking, because maybe you're wanting to hold on to things out of a fear of losing them, especially in a time of uncertainty. But if you are coming from that spot, then that means you're actually more set up, and then you just need to relax and think about what's going on over the next 6 months. Where do you want to see yourself and where do you want to be? Because if you're set up to get there, it looks like you might already have the options in place and just need to look at how to implement that. And you haven't, instead of looking at implementing it, you've been thinking in terms of not getting burned. And unfortunately, there's always risks. So if you want to take risks, there might be some burn, but there's going to be a lot more payoff as well in terms of like experiences and learning things. It'll always make you stronger. And I feel like when you're in motion and not stagnant, this whole brain fog thing goes away and your positivity starts to return and your sense of purpose and being comes back. And so whatever the burnout that you're feeling right now is going to be, if it is going to be continuing over this next 6 month period, and if addressed, I think that's going to go a long way in helping you with your internal feelings, with your just general nature. And it can be scary, to like make a change that involves those around us. Like maybe we're moving farther away from our friends, or leaving a job that's been really stable for a long time. But once again, moving to an atmosphere that better serves us and we feel like is more in line with what we want and where we see ourselves going. At the end of the day, it pays off really, really strongly. So this is a bit of that fear of change, or sometimes a feeling of inability or unable to change, or feeling like things aren't going to change despite making efforts, or just general complacency. And I feel like for most of us, when we get into a brain fog, or if we get into like a brain fog or anything along that line, it's just due to some old-fashioned complacency. And this is, more energy or time or effort being spent to break that. Is there anything that we can do or think of to do that we can kind of use as like a baseball bat to go with the foundation of that complacency and just break it up? Because this is manifestation. This is our desires starting to be seen in the world, or us starting to express our innermost desires and finally seeing them kind of go from like theories in our head or sweet thoughts to actually being a part of our world. So anything that you've had kind of in your head, or that you've been wanting, or that's really been in your heart, you can achieve. And I think tinkering and trying things out over the next 6 months are really going to start to show you that. And while I feel like you are the kind of person that takes things pretty slowly, and that you that many of you want to test waters and theorize and that sort of thing. That is going to be what you're going to be doing. I don't think that you have to change yourself fundamentally at the core as a person for most of y'all, to be successful. But really, I think it's as simple as getting your head back in the game, and getting out of a woe is me mindset, and just acknowledging that things have changed and that's okay, because that's not going to hold you back. Things might have changed, but you haven't changed. You're still the strong person that you always were, and that maybe you were down for a minute, but we all fumble. We all need a break. We all need some rest, and then we get back on the horse and then create that world and be that change that we want to see. Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, this is a change in the vibe, or making physical change. And this could be just as something as simple as doing some yoga or getting some exercise. Creating that feeling in you, that reinvigoration that you needed. Just doing something a little bit physical can reinvigorate you spiritually. And this is kind of like negative chatter and these sorts of and anything that kind of like holds you back. This can be like you procrastinating, or along with that 9 of spades being procrastination, or it could be what you say to yourself mentally makes you feel like you are, or reinforcing this internal idea that like it's over, or like I can't, or or I just can't do it right now, or something that makes you want to stay in bed versus get out. And this is saying the vibe's got to change. Whatever it is, it can be like a funny cat video or something, but whatever it is that makes you feel like getting out of bed and getting a start and getting your energy back. And this is also saying over the next 6 months, like, though this might happen, the situation where it's just kind of like another day, like I don't know what to do, that could come up, but you actually got this, and that your time and energy is going to start expanding, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to want to do more. And then the Joker is kind of like the card of options. So you're going to start to see new things show up, new opportunities for you that you can grab and take. And this is all going to be part of you getting your just energy back in a good and healthy place, and then also part of, because of that happening, what you're going to be able to do. So for most of you, the next 6 months, once again, is going to be a bit internal. It's just about coming back to base, finding your bearings again, so that you're able to pick up and be more successful and useful to yourself. And when you are, then you're better for everyone around you. And I feel like, y'all group 2 are a light in this world. And, whatever you're going through right now, whether it be the state of the world or whether it be something more personal, don't let that light go out, because that would be a crying shame. And not that, and I don't think, I don't get the vibe here that any of y'all would just be like, okay, like I give up, and go resign yourself to like some existence that you didn't want or anything like that. I don't think it would actually get there, but sometimes it's easy to get caught up in feelings and then keep us from actually achieving our dreams and the things that we deserve, just from being bummed and suffering from a bit of depression or something along those lines. It's just about keeping your mental headspace clear and keeping your eye on the prize, and that is that. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is leaving things that don't serve you. These are a lot of old, stale emotions, a lot of botched attempts at things. They're, the dark night of the soul, that kind of vibe. It's like you're tired of like looking through the trash, you're tired of like digging things up, you've been through it, you've done that. As soon as you're ready, you're turning around and you're back on the path towards whatever it is that you're working on towards, that good old work that you want to be doing and you want to see yourself doing, and turning away from just feelings of despair towards hope and ambition and that sort of thing again. Because once again, justice is deciding what's worth it and what's not worth it, what's good, what's bad, what needs to stay, what needs to go. And it's part of this card. It's like once you're done with that kind of like mental inventory of, what do I want around me, what do I not want around me, and maybe even physical, like maybe you're minimizing the things in your room that are unhelpful distractions, or those people and connections that you've kept around that you feel like are bad, and cutting those off when you need to. That's kind of the big justice card here, and the work that I feel like you're all going to be doing over this next 6 months is really just figuring out what does and doesn't serve you and moving on. And then we have the Three of Rods or the Three of Wands, and taking actions in order to make that sort of thing happen. And there's this rod behind him, and it's something that's, even though we're going through this and it can be hard, there are always other options and other ways to look at things. So don't forget to take more angles. Like if you are doing something and you feel like you have to do it, but you're not necessarily comfortable with it, just take a minute, because whenever you have two options, quite often there's a path right through the middle. There's a good through road that is kind of like a best of both worlds thing. So don't get so focused that you actually lose sight of all options, or maybe take something that is less ideal due to feeling rushed or like you don't have time. So this is just general advice, like over this next 6 months, try not to get yourself into a place of procrastination where you feel like you're rushed to make a choice, or try to see all sides or get multiple angles or second opinions and these sorts of things when you're making big decisions or taking actions that you're using to like better yourself. Because while I feel like in cases where you might make small hiccups, these aren't going to be like terrible mistakes that are like world ending or ruining or anything like that. But it just as a general rule of thumb, taking some extra time to review any action before you take it over this next little period of time is going to help you get results and yield more fruitful results more quickly. And then this is success. It's like the Ten of Pentacles is back on track. It's like education, work, money, all of these things like back where you want it, or a feeling of homeliness and peace again, and overall just successful energy. So whatever it is that you're working towards, I feel like you're going to, in the next 6 months and at the end of the period, have, you're going to be learning a lot and have learned a lot and had experiences and tried things out, and you'll be much more secure in where you stand. And this is, a lot of like earthly security. So experiences well worth it. And it's like that's why it's like even periods when we're feeling, a little more distraught, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't get to places where we feel more successful. So anytime I get down or depressed or I'm feeling anxious, I just remember that, the balls go up in the air, but they have to come down. Wow, we got this card in group 1. So this is a color-based oracle, so it's just, different colors and kind of keywords associated with them, and I feel like it just gives us a nice understanding. Okay, so yeah, I've got that uncertainty. Once again, uncertain times, they are the cause of great anxiety, and I feel like it's really that for y'all, group number 2. It's just the uncertainty of the times or whatever's going on in your life that's causing this kind of standstill for you. This making you feel less positive than you usually do. And burnout, we were talking about earlier, like this deep gray right here is definitely like a burnout card. It's like when the ashes, that's all that's left, is just that soot, that gray. And yeah, that uncertainty and burnout is a lot of, it's the kind of the root of the problem. And right now it's about accepting it, being like, okay, just facing what's going on and accepting it, and accepting your reaction, and accepting, your state of being, and accepting everything around you, because that's going to be your way forward. So acceptance is tied in with forgiveness. So basically, whatever you can do to forgive the world and remove blame from everything around you and outside of you, and just take a moment to quiet yourself and feel at peace and at home, and like it's okay. Maybe things that were not ideal have gone down, but now you have to go forward. It's just, you have to live your life, and you have to enjoy yourself, and you have to be in the world and live in it and act in it the way that you see fit and is according, and to once again brighten up the path in front of you and brighten it for everyone around you. And yeah, at the core of all of this, it's that acceptance and that turning away from what doesn't serve you and finding the courage within yourself to make positive changes that are better for you. And so the next 6 months is going to have a lot of work that can be uncomfortable, but it's going to be well worth it, and you're well equipped to do it. And most of y'all have already gotten started, and I think you're actually going to learn to love the situation as it is. Somehow something could happen that makes you feel much more comfortable and much more confident sooner than you think. But by the end of the 6 months, you're going to be, fully satisfied again. You're going to be that full-fledged adult, that positive light. So thank you very much for coming by. That's about it for the reading. I hope that some of that worked for you, and that you got something out of it. And once again, let me know what you think in the comments. And peace. Like it as well, and subscribe if you want to catch more videos, and I hope to see you soon. Okay, what's up, group number 3? This is your reading. And yeah, so we're going to be looking at a general forecast for the next 6 months. What's coming down the pipeline, what are we going to be looking at and dealing with. This is like for life in general. We'll see what comes up. Maybe we'll get some career or love, spirituality, that sort of thing. Sorry, sometimes cards pop out, but they just don't feel like the ones. So. We'll see, and just see what we get, and hopefully we'll get some cool information. But yeah, let's see what's going on. What are these next 6 months going to be like? Okay, we did get one card flipped around, but okay, one more riffle and we'll hop into the reading. All right, let's see what we're dealing with. I like that. We got a king here and a king here, and they're kind of opposite kings in terms of like their nature. So we've got the King of Spades, who's like, fully suited up in armor, battle ready, ready to defend beliefs, ready to tackle challenges, super intellectual, really plans well, but emotionally kind of unavailable. And then we have the King of Hearts, which is the person who is much more open and fluid and thinks with the heart and doesn't really intellectualize things or take things of the mind super spiritually. Like we've got here an abundance of like air element and here an abundance of water element, that kind of thing. And it's just kind of like at the end of this reading is kind of bookended by both things. So I feel like for most of y'all, group 3, you are quite balanced people. So you understand kind of what is important in life for you, and you've done a lot of personal work to get there. Maybe, if I feel like a lot of you are not are not newbies in anything when it comes to like maybe life, and you've kind of been around the block, and that over the next 6 months is going to continue to be the case. I feel like you've got a really strong foundation that you're working on. And with this Joker here, this is kind of options and you seem to have a lot of options right now. There's a lot of open-ended things for you, a lot of choices that you have to make, but right now you're kind of like at a peaceful standstill and you're not really rushing to make any of them. Even though, so I have this four of spades here, which is instability, destabilization, insecurity. I feel like there's a lot going on that's been kind of tumultuous for you. If you're familiar with like the Tower card in the tarot, that's like strong foundations or long time things kind of falling through and breaking down. But at the same time, there's a lot of close friends and people in life that I feel like have stuck around no matter what. And you derive a lot of your energy from the fact that you've been there for people in the past and people are going to be there for you now, and that could be part of why your options are still kind of open. But then I have this like heart's desire card, which I feel like this is like maybe infatuation. I feel like there could be some love coming into your life now, and because you're in a place where you can accept it. And there's a lot of things that you want, and I don't think that you've given up on it. I think that you still see that they are going to come to you, you're just not sure how. And this Joker is part of like not being sure how, but knowing that somewhere, some way, things are still going to be lining up. And so this often is a crush. So I think if pile three, if within the next 6 months you want to know what's up with you and your crush or your person of interest, this reading just might start to reveal that. But we can see, but as far as I know, like, yeah, this is the crush, this is heart's desires, and I don't get the feeling off the bat that any of you, though there is some insecurity going on in life, I feel like when it comes to like emotionally, you might indulge here and there in worrying, that kind of vibe, but it never really sticks around too long because you don't have time for that. I feel like y'all really don't have time for emotional BS. You really do understand that though things get hard and get up in the air, what's most important is your personal security and happiness and living the best life that you can so that you better serve those around you. And that's why you've got this, I feel, environment where even if things are destabilized in your own life, you have options and you've kept it that way and you've been smart about it because you've made mistakes in the past, and you have your past to thank for your present, which is set up so strongly for you. Yeah, so there's the emotional security card, that little four of hearts there. So oh wow, and this is so right under the 8 of hearts is the 7 of hearts, and this is the soulmate card. And it's also like divine love, but it's like the one, finding someone, so wow. And this is like emotional security, but this is also like a secure, and this is the card of trust and romance and things of that nature. I think for a lot of you, pile number 3, you really are, you feel like you've met the one, or you're manifesting your soulmate and that you need them to come soon, or that they are coming in the next 6 months. This is more time and energy and effort. This 3 of diamonds might mean that they'll be coming closer to the end of this period than the beginning, or sometime down the road, but that they are on the way, and that maybe you've even been reaching out to them, or they've been reaching out to you. The other cards that we have here are a 6, a 9, and an 8 of clubs, and these all have to do with society, friend groups, family, environment, and that kind of thing. This is kind of like an inspirational environment. Kind of what I was talking about earlier, it looks like a lot of you know people that you just resonate with on a deep level. You have like a lot of close friends, and it's just like your soul family, that tribe of people that, just works for you. So you're set there, but it looks like whoever this person is, this, potential soulmate, or just, super strong loving connection. For those of you who may not even want something romantic, this just could be someone who is like a soulmate in that regard, but doesn't necessarily fit those traditional qualities. So we've got that external friend group or family, something along those lines, coming in from the outside, and then this 6 of clubs, which is planning or and it could be hanging out, but usually it's about like planning and some sort of like social gathering of sorts. So it, while it, but what I feel like here is, yeah, this is somebody coming in from the outside, and they've been planning some sort of move or some way to make a move, but things are a little bit crazy right now, so it's not necessarily, especially with it being on top of this Joker, not necessarily super easy to do, but it is something that they intend to do nonetheless. Okay. So, this is my spirit work card, and I feel like there's a lot of kind of like a lot of prayer and meditation. It's probably a lot of what makes your life feel so stable and like you and strong, and not worry free, but in the point where there's like it feels like you're despair free. Like things can go up and down, but you feel like they can always come back around and in your favor, and you've seen it happen time and time again, and this time is no different. And you're actually, a lot of your effort and time and energy, it seems like, just kind of is spent on making things work out for you, and you don't even try that hard anymore. So this is like feelings of complacency, which are normal, especially when it comes to this person who might be showing up. You know, you're like, it's been a long time, are they still coming? It looks like yes, they are still coming. Like this is a very action oriented card and physical action, so it's like they do want to reach out. And then once again, this card, the Ace of Spades, does have to do with the beginning of a problem, or it could be fear, but usually it's just a change. So something is ending, and ending for the better. So this could be like on their end, it could be an end of their relationship. Something that isn't serving them, or something that keeps them from coming to you. It can be something like that. I feel like for y'all, whatever this is, group 3, you have already been through it, and that's kind of what I was talking about here, is like there's been some kind of destabilization or tower moment, and it could have been a breakup, or it could have been events in the world at large that have led to that destabilization, maybe at work or something else. But this is for both of you, a change that is more for the better, especially with the 7 or 8 of hearts here. So I feel like this change had to happen, and it may be happening farther down the line for whoever this 8/7 of hearts person is. So once again, with this 3 of diamonds, like I said, maybe closer to the end of the 6-month period than the beginning, but it is still something that is happening. Yeah, so yeah, Ace of Diamonds, that is a diamond in the rough. That means something that has a lot of potential, that can go a lot of really interesting places, just getting started and getting picked up off the ground. This 5 of clubs is getting, once again, it's like this is an active environment, so it's more on the side of things beginning to pick up and take off. Someone is doing work, things are going well. And then we have the Queen of Clubs, which is being covered, being prepared for whatever's coming, and being ready for it. So if this person does want to make a move, which it looks like they certainly would, especially if you have this crush vibe and this soulmate card here, I feel like you might already actually know who they are, then this is, yeah, just being prepared and ready for when it actually manifest itself in whatever way that it's going to. And when it comes, you know, you'll have that diamond in the rough, and then past that point is just polishing it into something sweet. But I'm going to throw a few tarot cards on top of this just to get some more clarity, because yeah, it looks like we're mostly just talking about luck here today. Because otherwise, like what I was saying earlier with these options, it looks like even though things have been destabilized, maybe you have lost a job recently, but you're not really worried about that because you've done so good keeping your options open, that I feel like for most of you, group 3, especially with these strong 8 and 7 of hearts coming out, that most of your concerns are actually with just love right now. Okay. So keeping things open, we've got the Seven of Swords right here, and that's a lot of things have happened, and you feel like you've had a lot of successes and that they've been run away, and maybe you feel like it's been super lucky or things have been too easy, and I want to remind you that, yeah, things have been easy, but once again, it's simply because of the way you've lived your life and set things up in the past, so it's definitely nothing to feel bad or guilty about, and it's just about letting those successes come to you, and that actually there is more in store here, and it's coming down the line during the 6 month period. There are more things left, and once again, no door fully closed, lots of options open. This is just more of that. Let's see. With Temperance, we have balance and keeping and understanding that even though good things are coming, sometimes they take longer than we want. And then with this Three of Rods, these are sometimes we're going to want to act, or we're going to want to make something happen and make it happen in a time that maybe is more suited to what we want, but that may not be the best, because you can see this rod or wand behind him. That is also another action that we're not looking at, and that might be because it's not in our court, or it's not on our, it's kind of like not on our roster to be doing something here. This is the other party. So with the Five of Pentacles, I feel like that's kind of what this Ace of Spades was saying earlier. The person is going through something and they actually need time to heal and readjust before they can move on. And so it could be work related, it could be ending a relationship, or it could be getting past a bad breakup, something in this ballpark where since I was saying earlier that I feel like most of y'all are in pretty good standing right now, it's actually their party that needs to stabilize and come back together and do something that makes them heal and take that moment in time in order to be able to pick up and move on and actually advance. So once again, even if you get a little impatient, remember that everything happens in divine timing, and a lot of things are in your court, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean if you did something and you acted on it and it could just be hitting a wall. It wouldn't necessarily be like closing off options or ruining anything. Once again, it's like these two swords here. It's just kind of like there is something left. There are still ways for this to manifest, but it looks like you're in control of your life and destiny, and that you definitely know that, but sometimes it's okay to wait and let things just happen. And that's kind of the vibe I get from the tarot spread on top of this. And to finish off the reading, actually, let me move this, but I've got a few just kind of like color-coded oracle cards, and they just help kind of enlighten us more on the vibe, and sometimes even give like pointers or advice or something. They're pretty cool cards. So let's see, one, Faith. Once again, like I was saying, divine timing. These things take time, and sometimes they happen on their own, and you have to kind of like have faith that it's coming and it is happening. And except this card came out in all three readings. I'm shuffling on camera. I don't really know why that's happening, but apparently acceptance is the name of the game for y'all, for everybody right now. That's just what the world needs, is acceptance, apparently. Okay, and passion. So whenever the connection does happen, it looks like it is definitely based in love, and there's a strong kind of like infatuation and soulmate thing going on here with this passion card. So the other person, I think, really does feel it, and it could be part of what's causing them to hurt, because they're in a situation where they feel it really strongly, but they can't act yet. And so just because they can't act doesn't mean that it's never going to happen, and that's where the faith comes in. And if you're in touch with this person, you see them often, and you want them to be a part of your life, keep with that Temperance vibe. It's kind of like be calm, realize, just like exude that energy, like, I've got time, I'm here, we're doing like a 6-month spread. Things are going to be looking up at some point in the next 6 months in terms of the manifestation of this relationship. But this person has to accept things for the way that it is, and like the struggles that they're going through, and just start to see this for what it really is, and it looks like a soulmate connection. And then once again, the faith, I believe, is it's on both of your end, but the faith on your own is, I feel like, since you're in such a good spot and you're a stable person, and I don't feel like you like to bullshit around, that you're actually ready to take a plunge and like make a move on your own, or maybe even move on. And if that's the way you feel, definitely do it. But if this is something that you want to see happen, it's like, yeah, keep the faith. Remember that it definitely can happen. And these kinds of situations are unique to all of us, and we have to do what we have to do here. But faith, acceptance, passion, that's really, I feel like that's all really good news. It's like, keep the faith in the divine timing. And then I hope to see passions ignite sometime within the next 6 months. So that's really it for the reading today. I hope that all y'all who came by group 3 got something out of it, and take what resonates. And thank you so much for stopping in, and peace. I hope to see you again in the next one. If you have anything to say, let me know in the comments, and give the video a like and subscribe if you want to catch the next one, and I hope to see you soon. Take it easy.